Hello, so nice to be with you. My name is Susan Verhulst.
I'm Dr. Don Verhulst.
And tonight we're going to talk about some amazing technology that is just changing lives. And the thing I love about this the most, Dr. Don, is I know you're a medical doctor. You've been in the health and wellness field for well over 35 years. And we've helped so many people over those years with health and wellness. And we had our own company at one point that was nutritional, organic aloe skincare company. You have formulated, you have written books up here. We've had a television ministry on health and wellness, biblical health, and all these wonderful things, but we have never come across something as exciting as these stem cell activation patches and all of these amazing patches that David Schmidt and LifeWave has brought to us. So talk a little bit, can you, about the technology, about the history, and what you're seeing and why we're seeing together so many lives changed.
Yes, I'd love to. And it's amazing to me to think that this little patch, I go back to remembering when you first shared it with me, Susan. She had some friends using it and getting phenomenal results. And she had heard that stem cells, which are the cells that rejuvenate your body, which you lose 50% of them by the time you're 35, and you lose 90% by the time you're 65. And she said, I want this patch.
I said, sign me up.
And
sign me up.
I was hearing such phenomenal things, but there are very diverse things, many different areas, and everything. It was healing and curing. And I said, Susan, I'm a medical doctor. I've been working with natural alternatives for 40 years. I'm trained in the use of poisons with a desirable side effect, which is what pharmaceuticals are. And now you want me to tell people to put a patch on their neck and it's going to cure everything? I did not believe it.
And let me jump in and say this, because disclaimer, we do have to make sure that we are letting you know that these patches do not treat, cure, diagnose, or prevent any sickness or disease. Dr. Don is a doctor, but he's not your doctor, and we are here to share for educational purposes only. So watch out for the treat and the cure.
It's a wonderful thing that it doesn't treat or cure any kind of disease. And that's part of the power of the patch, because it is non-transdermal. That's what I learned when I studied it, because I didn't believe it. It didn't make any sense to me. But then I saw that there were clinical studies, over 80 of them, that are double-blind, placebo-controlled, independent. That means not done by LifeWave, and even peer-reviewed, the highest level of scrutiny. So we had something significant here, but it's non-transdermal. That's always my first question. Is it safe? Well, I'd never even heard of a non-transdermal patch.
Now, what does that mean?
Transdermal means what's in the patch goes in your body, like an estrogen or a nicotine patch, a smoker's patch.
Okay.
People are familiar with.
Yep.
No chemicals leave this patch and go into your body.
So then how does it work?
Right, that's the question. And the answer is just as simply as the sun hitting your skin and making vitamin D. That is photobiomodulation, or light therapy. This is just wearable light therapy. It takes advantage of that phenomena and makes it very specific. In the case of the X39 stem cell activation patch, which you wear on C7, the bump at the base of your neck.
You can just bend your neck over and feel it and pop it right there.
You just have to come close. You can miss it by an inch one way or two, the other, or up or down. It'll work anywhere in your body, but that's an acupuncture meridian, an energy meridian. So there is some science to wearing it there, and all the clinicals were done wearing it there. You wear it for 12 hours. Then you take it off, throw it away, and you leave it off for 12 hours of rest and restoration, then another 12 hours of activation. And that's so your body doesn't get used to it. So what is it doing? Well, it's simply using your body as a battery. The heat energy of your body, the infrared that we all have, because we're 98.6 degrees, comes off, hits the patch, and the patch forms a very specific wavelength of light, which in the case of the X39 patch, stimulates a signaling molecule called GHK copper peptide. That's a tripeptide, a 3-amino acid peptide, that tells your body, wake up stem cells, make them go to work. And what are stem cells? First of all, stem cells are cells in your body that can become any cell your body needs. If you need help in the area of the eyes, it can become a retinal cell. If you need help in the heart, it can become a cardiac muscle cell. In the bones, it can become an osteoblast, making bones. So whatever you need. But as I said, you lose 50% of that activity by the time you're 35, and you lose 70 or 90% by the time you're 65. That's why when a 10-year-old falls off a bike, they don't
Mhm.
break a bone, they don't have chronic heart disease, diabetes, arthritis. And if they cut their skin 3 days later, you can't even see where it was because they're just rejuvenating so fast.
Mhm.
But you notice as you get older that that doesn't occur the way it used to. Well, that's the idea, waking up your own stem cells. That's the safety of it. That's the beauty of it. We don't even have to ask people what pharmaceuticals are you on, what over the counter medications,
Mhm.
nutritionals, even. And some of those can be very helpful, and you still need to take them. You still need to eat when you're patching. You still need
Mhm.
to stay hydrated. You need
Yes.
to learn to relax and get to bed on time and exercise, as all my books teach you to do. All
Mhm.
those general health measures make the patch work better. But it is truly a paradigm shift. In that, I mean that it's not just the old approach to uh, trying to cover symptoms. It addresses the cause of the problem, and that's a major difference with this modality versus throwing pharmaceuticals at it, which I don't believe poisoning yourself to health is the best approach every time in the long run. Yet almost everyone does that. If you go to traditional medicine, that's what's going to happen in most cases.
Mm.
And we've got natural alternatives now that are a much wiser choice, but nothing like this. Like
Mhm.
Susan said, we've helped 10 times more people in the last year and a half of doing this than we
Mhm.
did the previous year.
What are some things people will
10 years.
notice at the get-go when you think clinical show? Most people start to notice things
Yeah.
between 3 and 6 weeks. But ideally, the inventor David Schmidt would like to see people for full results and full regeneration because this is cellular regeneration, it's cellular age reversal. He'd like to see people do at least 1 decade for every
1 month.
1 month for every decade of life. So if you're 70, which you're 67, we're looking at you want to do probably 7 months.
Correct. Before you make a decision whether it's
Mhm.
working or not. Now, why is that? Because there's a lot of things going on in your body. You've got 100 trillion cells. There's many things going on in your body. You don't want to know about them, and
That's
you'll
true.
never know about them, especially
Right.
if you start patching, because that will help your own body take care of those problems.
Right.
I can't predict whether you're going to be a 1 week wonder, 1 month wonder, or it's going to take you the full 7 months if you're 70 years old, as Susan said. That's the biggest challenge of this. And the most important thing is to wear the patch consistently. You
Mhm.
will notice a difference. Now, what do you notice? Most people, the most common thing I hear is probably sleeping better, which everybody enjoys that benefit as you get older.
Mhm.
Most people have an issue there. You get some energy, almost everyone eventually. That's why we
Mhm.
wear that patch during the day.
Yeah.
And maybe skin changes, GI changes because the tissue's turning over more quickly there. Uh, Clearer, more focused thinking, mental changes, memory
Mhm.
improvement. I also hear very commonly. I do know you'll eventually notice a significant difference. I just don't know when. So that's the
Mhm.
idea, educating people that
Mhm.
this is a natural modality. It takes time.
And when you're putting the patch on, one thing that we know from, again, the clinical studies, I always like to go back to those because it's very rare to have a natural element like this come and for the inventor to do so much time and so much work and spend so much money. 10 years it took him to develop X39 and about $4 million of his own money getting these clinical studies done, double blind placebo, many of them peer reviewed. So I like to always go back to those clinicals, but they're also showing when you put on one of our stem cell activation patches, you're also affecting your genes.
Yes, within 24 hours of your very first patch, your
Mhm.
X39 on the back of your neck, you're communicating with 4,200 of your 18,000 genes to
Mhm.
express at a healthier, more younger level. So that's a huge benefit right there.
So it's even affecting in your genome, at your genes. And you talk about how genes speak with other genes.
Yeah, so very quickly, it's through all 18,000
Mhm.
of your
It's exciting.
genes, yeah, working even on the genetic level.
Mhm.
And there's clinical studies for all of these things, including this simple thing. How important is it for your heart to beat strong in your cardiovascular system? Every 6 weeks on this patch will de-age your cardiovascular system by 8 weeks. When I first heard that, I thought,
That's wild.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's not possible. If that was true, everybody would be beating your door down to
Mhm.
get these, and everyone should be, but it is clinically studied and shown to do that.
Mhm.
some of you may not know, you can measure your biological age. Your chronological age is how many candles on your birthday cake, but no
Right.
one's the equal in their biological age exactly their chronological age, or very
Mhm.
rarely you're either older or then younger than your stated age. Well, we can measure that with several different parameters and then put the patch on you for 6 months, for example, and measure
Measure again.
again.
Yeah.
And the preliminary study that we did on that, with 6 weeks of wearing the X39, the average decrease in biological age was 8 years.
6 months.
I mean, 6 months
Yeah.
of wearing the patch was 8 year decrease in biological age. That is phenomenal.
Yeah, it really is. Real quickly too, we want to open things up for your questions. We've given you the basics. We do want to tell you too that David Schmidt got his start in 2000 when the government approached him, and he was doing some things for the government, but to help the Navy SEALs. They were looking for something to help the Navy SEALs get through those long submarine trips, and they asked him if there was something he could invent for them, and that was his first patch called Energy Enhancers. And he went on from there then to make different patches like glutathione that Suzanne Summers wore for many, many years, and it featured David Schmidt in many of her books as she was on her quest and lived 25 years with breast cancer.
And then the most successful and popular patch was made. It was actually X15. They call it Aeon, AEON. It's
Mhm.
an anti-inflammation patch. And inflammation is extremely important in your health for a number of reasons, but inflammation is a cause or promoter of every kind of disease, especially the degenerative diseases, the
Mhm.
diseases of aging, cancer, heart disease, diabetes, the arthritides, and inflammation is not a bad thing. Inflammation means you increase blood flow to an area. That's why if something's inflamed, it gets red and angry looking. That's bringing red cells in for oxygen, white cells in to fight infection,
Mhm.
nutrients in to rebuild the tissue. And on an acute basis, that's good for you. But when it becomes chronic or overdone, too much inflammation, that's when it's damaging,
Mm.
disease promoting, and even disease causing. So, the Eon patch is so important,
Mhm.
particularly when you're waking up stem cells, because I do know this, when you wear your very first X39 stem cell activating patch, we will wake up some stem cells. The
Yeah.
signaling molecule goes to work, and your stem cells start going to work in your body. They will go where the action is, and the action is where the inflammation is. So they'll get consumed by inflammation. That's why I always recommend 2 patches to start. Everyone starts with
Mhm.
X39 on C7 in the back of your neck, I've mentioned several times. And then the Eon patch, which is worn 1 inch below your belly button, because that's where the clinical studies were done for that one. Then
Or
you,
you can also place it on the point of soreness or
right,
tightness
right.
or pain.
And another benefit to that patch is we used to call it, or still do, the bliss patch or the happy patch, because it balances the parasympathetic calming nervous system versus the sympathetic get up and go fight or flight system.
Mhm.
So it's a calming patch as well. And when you use it simultaneous with the X39, you're going to get quicker and better results because you keep that inflammation down and you're
Mhm.
not using up all those wonderful stem cells to
Mhm.
just fight inflammation. They go after and fight different things in your body.
Right.
As I said, the biggest challenge is I can't predict when you're going to feel or know something for sure, because there's
Mhm.
different things going on in your body, and it's
Yeah.
smart technology. That's a good thing. It'll go
Right.
after the most important area first. Then when that is done, it will go to the next one and the next one and so on and so forth.
So let's talk about 3 to 6 weeks. In 3 weeks, my shoulder pain that I'd had, it was like a COVID thing because I wasn't as active and it just got stiff. So that took about 3 weeks. My hip pain that came in, and you had hip pain too. That was gone in 3 weeks. When we talk about most people notice something in 3 to 6 weeks. Then I was dealing with plantar fasciitis for, I don't know, 8 years. I kind of lost track. I slept with a brace on my foot. I did everything under the sun to get rid of it. You name the remedy, and it didn't work. And that took probably about 5.5 to 6 months until that was completely gone. And now we are both living pain free. You used to get up always in the middle of the night.
Yeah, I wore the patch for the first 5 weeks. I said to Susan, it's not doing anything to me. And she said, well, you're not waking me up in the night 2 to 3 times to go to the restroom. And, you know, you don't miss that when
No,
that
you don't miss
happens.
pain.
But that was true, and that's
Mhm,
been over a year now, well over a year, and
mhm.
I don't have that issue anymore. I
Yeah.
just don't, it's just like turning back the hands of time.
It's like, then that's prostate
Yeah,
health,
and
right?
then I noticed tremendous energy, sustained energy, not like a caffeine or amphetamine thing, but very just
Mhm,
youthful.
mhm.
I feel like I'm 30 years younger than I was when I started patching, which is amazing because I felt okay when I was,
Sure,
you know, I was 66 years old, but
right?
I feel literally like I'm 35 now.
That's awesome. All right, so I think we've kind of covered the basics for you all. Did anybody have any questions? Feel free. Will it let you to unmute yourself, or do I need to do that for you? I can, if you want to.
Nope, we can unmute
Oh,
ourselves.
Wonderful,
okay.
thank you. All right, did anybody have any questions? Patty, I noticed you're unmuted.
Oh, hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good.
When you talk about pain, and I'm sorry, I kind of went on and off because I was trying to figure out how to do this.
That's okay.
And now there's even more of a issue with regard to pain management that they're not prescribing opioids, you know.
Right.
And it's very, I have a lot of friends with chronic pain issues with car accidents and, various
Yeah.
other things. Can you speak like, okay, is there any contraindications as far as, using the patches with medications, specific medications, or is it more of an adjunct kind of thing
Yes.
that,
Yes, it's not an adjunct. It is a very direct pain interrupter. But I'm glad you brought this issue up because, first of all, it is perfectly safe to use patches no matter what
Medication.
pharmaceuticals you might be taking, including opioids or any others, or over the counter medications or
Mhm.
supplements, whatever it may be. There's no contraindications. So that's a relief there. But we do
Mhm.
also have a pain management patch specifically called Ice Wave. Now, I would still
oh,
recommend people with pain, especially chronic pain,
Mhm.
start with the X39 and Eon, which do give pain control and address the cause of the problem
Right.
as well. The Ice Wave patch, a separate patch, does not address the cause of the problem,
greens.
but it interrupts the pain signal.
Okay.
And that's a
Mhm.
two-patch system because it's interrupting the signal. There's a
Mhm.
there's a beige patch that you put right on the
Pan,
pain,
right.
pan patch, and then you put the white one right to the right,
Yep.
and then move it around until you get a notable pain response, and then you go ahead and leave it there for 12 hours.
Well, that is so cool for people who have chronic pain and they need something right now, Johnny on the spot, because it goes to
Or
work
acute pain.
immediately. Yeah, or acute pain. Well, and it's like a battery. You think about it, it has a positive and a negative charge. So it's literally interrupting the pain signal to the brain.
But it's not addressing the cause of the problem. So you still need to use the X39 and Eon together
Mhm.
so we can get at the root of the problem. And they do give pain management as well. Some people may get by just using the X39 and Eon,
Mhm.
but if you want immediate results, that's the difference in the Ice Wave. It will give you immediate results when it's placed properly, but that's the issue. You've got to learn how to do that.
Yeah, and it's not complicated at all. Does that
So
answer
if it's,
your question, Patty?
a back issue, say, is that do you move the patch to where is it a localized, like say it's a localized pain? Would you
Yes.
put the patch there or does it work more?
No.
Um, okay,
Actually, it works both ways, but I would start out just put it right where the maximum pain is,
okay,
the tan patch, and then
okay,
put white to the right. I peel off half of the backing of the right one, and
Move it
then
around.
try it a couple inches to the right of it, and then I'll move it around like in a clockwise fashion. Hold it for 10 or 20 seconds and see if it changes the pain.
Mhm.
When you get a change in pain level, leave it there for 12 hours. That's the patch placement
Mhm.
part of that patch.
Real quickly, Don had thrown out his back, something you used to do when you were younger, but
Mm.
working too many hours outside and threw out his back. And it was one of those ones where he couldn't, like, he's bracing himself to even get up, right? And we
Mhm.
had run out of our ice wave because we were giving him to other people to share. And I called his sister and I said, "Do you have any ice wave?" Because she was coming over that day. So she brought it over, and you were sitting really gingerly intense on the edge of that chair. And we put on the bottom of his back, we put the tan on the left and the white on the right. And you were talking to your sister a minute, and I put those on you, and all of a sudden you started to get up, and you were doing one
Yeah,
of
it
these.
wasn't even 5 minutes.
No, and he was
It was
going,
completely.
and Patty, this was him. He was like, "That's weird. That's so weird. I couldn't even move."
I've been through that many times.
Yeah. So when I say it kicks it, and it's really exciting.
There's another way to wear those patches too that I've heard David Schmidt describe that's sometimes very effective. If it's above your waist pain, then you can put it to the right and to the left, white on right, of the X39 patch up by C7. If it's below the waist pain, down by L4, which is the bottom of your back where your butt starts there, white on right and the tan
Yeah.
on the left,
And some,
just on either side of the spine.
yeah. And some people who have all over pain will put them on the bottom of their
Right,
feet
right.
and put them on before bed at night or
Right.
in the morning when they wake up, whenever it's the worst.
Right.
So it's been so over the last year, we have seen and heard so many testimonies, so many stories. It's just been thrilling. Does anybody else have a question?
If not, while we're waiting, maybe I'll just quickly
Well,
mention.
give them a second. Krista, did you want to say something? She unmuted herself, I believe.
Yeah, I
Okay.
have a question. If someone had liver disease, do you recommend any certain patch or placement location for that?
Yes, I do. In fact, the GHK copper peptide, the signaling molecule with the X39 patch, was first seen to have significant benefits for the liver health. So I would definitely say the X39 is the #1 patch, but along with it, I would use the anti-inflammatory Eon patch so that we get quicker and more sustained results. So
Yeah.
definitely those two.
As time went on,
Okay.
depending what Krista wanted to do, she just mentioned the liver, so it made me think of the glutathione.
Yes, glutathione is a patch that it really, this
That's what the
highlights
blue
the
zones.
paradigm shift of this approach.
Mhm.
Blue zones are the areas where people live to be generally over 100 years of age. There's 5 of them in the world, and
Mhm.
they have the highest level of glutathione level because glutathione is it's made by your body, it's made by your liver, but as you get older, you don't make as much. And it actually restores the vitamin C and vitamin E, which your body doesn't make, and some of the other antioxidants that fight free radical damage that causes aging. So it will restore those things. So it's the
Mhm.
master antioxidant.
Mhm.
And you can give 500 milligrams of it, a full dose orally or IV.
Like a drip, a
A
lot
lot
of
of
people
people
do
with
drips.
cancer
Yeah.
therapy do IV drips. They're very
Mhm.
expensive, and they're good.
Yeah.
But this patch, the glutathione patch, increases your body's own production of glutathione, and the levels are 300% clinically studied, and it lasts for 24 hours. So if you're wearing it 12 hours and 12 hours off,
Mhm.
you're getting a continuous 300% higher level of glutathione. So whatever kind of zone you're in, if you're in a blue state, a red state, a green state, or a white state like Michigan right now, you can be in a blue zone with your glutathione patch. So it's probably my third most important and popular patch, but certainly start with the X39 and the Eon,
Mhm.
add glutathione. And then there's a patch called carnosine for heart and nerves, for brain and spinal cord, also support in those areas. Those are the major 5 patches that we use consistently. There's Silent Night, which helps increase your melatonin production for better sleeping. It's also a very important patch. And then, as long as I'm just mentioning, I'll quickly say SP6, which supports glands like the thyroid for increasing metabolism, the rate at which you burn calories, for the adrenal glands for stress, and then
But all that,
pancreas to help support insulin production for balancing blood sugar and making digestive enzymes for getting nutrients out of your food.
that's so awesome. But again, everything can be done by X39.
Right?
And X39 has been the flagship of this company of LifeWave. It is the one patch that gets your stem cells up and moving again. We call these other patches supporting patches. So if you want to get results maybe a little quicker, we have the supporting patches. Most people, we start out with X39 and Eon, that inflammation piece, and they do super great with that. And as time goes on, if you want to add some other ones, depending on your need, your budget. But the beautiful thing about this, we share the wholesale prices, and we're talking about $3 to $5 a day. So the cost of a cup of coffee, it's not $5,000. I can rattle off my friends, 5,000 on each knee, 30,000 on her back, 10,000 on her face. 5, 6 people that we know, 60,000 on the back.
For traditional stem cell
Right.
therapy, which is, by the way, illegal in the United States. You have to leave the country.
Mhm.
And I will say this, we don't recommend using the X39 or buying it for retail because it's $150 a month. So for 2 months worth of X39, which you need, it'd be $300. When you buy a silver pack, the wholesale pack, which then entitles you to buy wholesale from then on, the same prices that we pay for patches.
They're 99.
It's $2.99, and you get the 2 months of X39, and you get 2 free supporting patches, which I would recommend Eon. So it's like getting 2 Eon patches free. So a lot of people get started right at that level with the silver pack. $2.99 is $1 less.
Right, or depend, so basically the X39 wholesale is $99 for 30 days. And retail, that would be 150. So pretty much everybody that we've talked to in the last year goes in and gets one of those wholesale packs, because you're just going to save so much money. If you have a husband and a wife, there are larger packs that you can buy, and the larger the pack you buy, the more you will save, and somebody can get back to
It's
you
a better value
that.
like a bigger
Mhm.
pack.
The Patching Podcast, we have about 2 minutes left. What is the number for that, honey? Because I want to put that on here.
379.
Okay, every
It's a
night.
Zoom number. It's
Mhm.
379-717.
Okay,
7845, and that's Monday through Thursday at
Mhm.
9 p.m. It's very consistent,
Eastern
1
Standard.
half hour long Eastern Standard Time at 9
Mhm.
p.m. And it's 10 minutes of testimony by one person. The next 10 minutes is a second person, and the
Mhm.
last 10 minutes is brief
The science and
information on the
tech, yeah.
technology. And then on Fridays, we do that at 4 p.m. to accommodate the people in Europe. That's where we learned a lot about this, and I
Mhm.
highly recommend
It's all
get on that
testimonial.
Patching Podcast and just
Mhm.
listen. Just
It's
listen
really
and
good.
watch, and you'll see some real people with real stories with some real life-changing experience.
And I know this was quick, friends. If you want to do a follow-up 3-way phone call with Dr. Don and Lee, or you just want to hop on with Dr. Don and ask him some follow-up questions, we can do set up phone calls with you as well. We want to make sure we get your questions answered. So we really hope you will join us on this journey of reverse aging. We want to live younger and go into these older years, pain-free and feeling great and having energy to do everything that we were created to do and live out
Truly
the length of
add
our
years
years.
to your life, but life to your
Yes,
years as well.
absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Lee, did you have anything you want to add before we go?
No, just thank you so much. I just love listening to you guys, and I appreciate you taking the time to just address my personal friends and family. And it's just Bruce and I have both been just thrilled with these patches,
Awesome.
and it's helped my eyesight tremendously. And right when I had started them, I had broken my elbow and didn't know it, and I was completely healed within 2 weeks.
That's awesome. We're about to cut off. So good night,
Nice to
everybody.
meet
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Lee.
Bye.